We know our appearance changes as we age, but the good news is we don't have to just sit back and watch it happen. Dr. Brian Derby from the Sarasota Plastic Surgery Center is here to tell us about the modern facelift. What typically happens? You know, 10 years ago at Sarasota Plastic Surgery Center, I had a facelift. That was 10 years ago. What's the modern facelift like?
Sure, Linda. So really the concept that I want to share with you is aging basically boiling down into two components. One is droop or sag. So if you're walking around looking in the mirror, drooping and constantly pulling back like so, that's the component that I'm talking about with respect to sag. But really what we've learned over the last 15, 20 years is that with modern facelifting techniques, we're really restoring volume. So I'm basically restructuring, reshaping the underlying tissues beneath the skin, and then adding volume where it's been lost over the years, which you'll see in an example I brought with you today.
Well, I look in the mirror, and I see that big changes are happening, like everything's moving down.
Certainly.
Is this true?
So you can't affect gravity. Gravity, it always wins, Linda, as I tell all my patients. So 10 years duration is usually about average for facelifting.
Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness.
Is that what's happening to us?
That's a great example there.
That's not a good example. That's an depressing example.
Yeah, everybody desires that on the left, not so much the right.
Exactly.
Can you come up with more scientific words other than droop and sag? I mean, like,
Sure.
you know, like,
that's what it looks like, I'm
beauty
afraid.
something.
So with the modern facelift, what do you do about that? Different from 10 years ago for me.
Sure. So in your particular case, what might have been done at that time is that surgeons were often accustomed to lifting the skin off the face. And this example on the right here is good. It shows the lifting of the skin in the green and really the restructuring in pink. So when the rubber hits the road with facelifting, what we're talking about is actually lifting that deeper, more firm tissue underneath and stitching that upwards so as to rejuvenate the cheek and rejuvenate the jowl and the neck so everything flows nicely rather than providing patients with a skin pulled tight, windblown look.
So I was going to say, does that affect the end result look-wise then when you're not just pulling?
So it's not just your skin?
Exactly. Without question, Bobette, you don't want to just pull, suture, and then send the patient out the door. They look classic stigmata of facelifting.
Yeah, we used to be able to tell by looking at people.
Oh, yeah, well, you've got a picture. I think you brought some pictures to show us of actual patients.
I sure did. Yeah, this is a good example of one of my patients. Really, you need to point out, or I want to point out her cheek region, how it's deflated. You see her jowls that are really accentuated. On our oblique view, this is called, you can look at the neck bands and the jowls again. And with lifting, really what we want is the best version of you possible. I don't want any one of my patients walking out the door looking windblown, but I want their neckline to be defined, I want their jawline to be defined, I want their cheeks and temples and area around the eyes to be restored. Just a better version of you.
Yeah, her profile, you can definitely see the difference in that picture.
Yeah, recovery time was a big question for me, but I had my facelift on Monday. I was back on the air anchoring the news on Saturday. What's the recovery time like for most people?
I think that's fair. About a week duration that you can expect some bruising for a couple of days. We're really emphasize icing post-operatively and taking it easy, but a week is very reasonable to anticipate restoring the social life, interacting with family, getting out and about. That's very reasonable.
Okay,
wow,
fat grafting.
even guys.
Look at that.
Yeah, there's another patient of mine. Again, men are doing it too.
Absolutely.
It's very much in vogue. So again, looking at his cheeks, the idea was he was sunken, he was sullen, he was tired of looking tired, and we just really revolumized him to create harmony between his eyes, his cheeks, his jowls, and his neck.
Fat grafting. I don't think I have that. I've got a lot to work with if you're interested.
Most of my patients have a friendly neighbor, a friendly husband that's willing to donate, but generally we just suction their own fat and take it from an area that they don't want it.
Is that to fill? When you were talking about restoring, you know, volume, so you can take fat from your own body and then
move it somewhere else.
Put it right. I got places I'd like to take it from and put it there.
Yeah, that's right, Steph. You take fat from one location, and really very typical locations to graft would be in the brow, just to accentuate the arch, the lower eyelid, to really blend the distinction between eyelid and cheek, and then through the cheek itself to accentuate that highlight that most people desire.
And these are things people have lost over the years that you're putting back, not like you're just going to recreate.
Correct. Yeah, we understand, again, with research over the last 15, 20 years, that as we age, things sink in. It's not just droop, it's not just sagging skin laxity, to be more scientific.
Thank you. Skin
but
laxity.
it's really a revolumizing and restructuring and then simply draping the skin on top.
So if you're not ready for surgery, injections, Botox, which I also got at Sarasota Plastic Surgery Center for many, many, many years.
Yes. So yeah, injectable, off-the-shelf fillers like Botox, like Juvederm, Restylane. These are some of the trade names that we use. They're all hyaluronic-based or neurotoxins like Botox. Those are great temporary treatments before a facelift.
Before facelift. Well, this is really great information. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
And
having me.
Dr. Derby is hosting a Botox event coming up on October 5th. For more information, you can visit the Sarasota Plastic Surgery website. And coming up next, our guest host, Sheba, is going to tell us about her latest book.